What's happening, my fellow geeks and geekettes? Welcome to a brand new episode of Chris's Custom Collectibles, and today we are going to be pimping out the Black Series Imperial Stormtrooper helmet. Now, you guys know I bought this to surprise Laura down in Melbourne at Oz Comic Con with the intention of eventually doing a custom collectible on this. The only problem was I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do to it. So here's the helmet in three pieces. One, two, the front, and the actual dome itself, three. So I was umming and ahhing for quite some time. I was originally going to do an Imposter Joker, Iron Man, Captain America, and that's when I asked you guys to suggest what you wanted to see. And one thing that seemed to trend a lot in the comment section of that video was like a post-apocalyptic look to this helmet. So that is what we're going to be doing. So guys, a very big thank you for your suggestions. I'm happy, I'm settled on this look. I've got all the pieces here required to make this look badass, post-apocalyptic, and overall just nasty in true cosplay Chris fashion. So of course we've got the helmet, and I found this at Big W. This was $16, Spy Gear night goggles. So what I'm thinking of doing is utilizing these blue lenses, swapping out the green ones if they will fit. If not, I'll probably just spray a transparent blue spray paint because I do want these lenses to be blue, just something different. Providing these don't fit, if they do, perfect. And then we've got this side scope here that folds back into place, and I think that would look brilliant on the side of the helmet as a little sight scope. As well as on the other side, there's an LED lamp which I will fit on the other side, which all feeds back into this pretty neat and kind of futuristic looking battery pack. So obviously the battery pack will be mounted on the back of the helmet itself. I do have to remove some of the insignia from the brand, but that is no problem whatsoever. So this was a great little find for 16 bucks. Now on top of that, I had the idea of trying to make this almost like a Bane-esque mask, Tom Hardy's Bane from The Dark Knight Rises. So I've just got some split sleeve tubing here, which is used for electrical purposes, and some of these little copper pipe mount things that you usually mount copper pipe to on a brick wall if you're a plumber or whatnot. So what I'm thinking is boring holes in little gaskets here, threading the pipe up the side here with those little hinges pop riveted in place, and maybe cover up these blue wires with the same housing. If not, I'll just keep the blue wire as is, because I think that looks pretty cool against the white. Now, of course, the weathering side, I'm obviously going to keep this white as is, so we're going to be using a clear primer before we apply anything. Of course, we're going to be using some black shoe polish, some brown shoe polish, and if you guys saw that steampunk R2-D2 custom collectible I did, I used those really sweet patina kits for the rust or oxidizing effect. I think I'm going to be going with the rust kit for this guy, just to make it look really disgusting, gnarly, like it's been in the desert for so long, and just like a rogue stormtrooper has just kit bashed certain things and elements. This is going to be a really fun build, guys. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but it's going to be a hoot. So with that being said, let's get to it.
Alright geeks, it is time for some shitty commentary now. You'll have to excuse my nasally voice. I'm currently fighting off a severe case of the man flu. I've been struck down with man flu. I'm a very unhappy chappy, but I'm just dismantling this little spy headgear thing that I got from Big W. And once that was done, I just sprayed on some Duramax, which is a clear primer, because obviously we want to keep that lovely white color from the Stormtrooper helmet itself. Now this is a translucent light blue polycarbonate spray, which I've had for a while, and I'm just giving that a light spray over the lenses. Now unfortunately, this didn't end up working out so well, and I'll explain in a couple of minutes as I go through my progress. Now I've just drawn out some areas where I want cracks and scratches to be on the surface. That is where there's going to be a blowout hole on the top of the helmet, which will involve some heat and map gas to kind of make those pieces fold out. I'm just getting the Dremel cutoff wheel attachment, just very, not delicately, but just want to be neat as possible when trying to replicate cracks. That sounds bad. And now I'm just going to go over with some 120 grit sandpaper and just really rough up that surface so it's not as pristine. I'm also going to get the claw part of a hammer and just hammer in dents and scratches, and this is the fun part actually. That was actually pretty fun. Now this is a Wi-Fi antenna that I got from J-Car. I wanted an antenna or something to that effect that, you know, this Stormtrooper's crudely attached to their helmet to get incoming signals from the Rebels or the Empire, you name it. So that slotted in perfectly, and I gave it a spray with some Rust-Oleum red that I had lying around. Went in with some sandpaper and roughed it up, removed a lot of that red just so we got that nice black under there, and it looks like the paint has stripped off. Now I've just got the boring attachment here on the Ryobi rotary tool, just going in on those gaskets to where we're going to be inserting those electrical wire pipes. And you can see right there, an absolute and utter perfect fit, guys. Now I've got the same polycarbonate spray, but this time in silver. So I'm just going to give the pipes a quick spray with that. Now, this stuff is designed to kind of peel off on certain plastics, and this is exactly what I wanted. So I've gone ahead and attached the headset piece. We've got the scope here, little lamp here. There's two lamps on either side actually, and here's a little battery pack here that I'm going to incorporate into the final helmet, which I think just fits so brilliantly for a $16 child's toy. So I'll just switch the LEDs on just to give you guys a good idea of how this is going to look. How brilliant does that look? And the beauty part is this folds up onto the side like that. So I'm just really happy with how this is turning out so far. It's just everything that I'm adding onto it seems to be almost made for it. So the next step before we attach these pipes running up the side here, we got to weather this thing. So we're going to use some black shoe polish, some brown shoe polish, and of course that patina kit, just to give the helmet some rust to it, like as if it is constructed from metal, but the coverage paint has worn off in certain areas, as well as this crack here. Now unfortunately, you guys saw me put that translucent blue spray on the lenses. Unfortunately, it kind of went a bit haywire and it didn't react well with the plastic, and as a result, it has fogged up the plastic. So unfortunately, this is not going to be a wearable helmet if someone wants to buy this. So I'm going to be utilizing this exit wound hole in the top of the helmet here for something a little bit different for the base stand. I'll show you guys later in the video. I'm not going to say now because I want it as a surprise, but I think it's going to be pretty kooky, a bit wicked, and a bit barbaric. Okay, it's shoe polish time, guys, and I can't believe how well this actually treated the surface of the helmet. It really does help to go over it with some sandpaper and really rough up and get rid of that pristine kind of surface, because look at that, when I dab away the excess of the black shoe polish, it just gets into all that beautiful detail and all those scuff marks. Now, I did back this up with a coat of brown shoe polish, but I was very strategic with the brown shoe polish. I only went in areas where there's, say, crevices and whatnot, because I wanted to give the illusion that it had been soiled in certain areas, especially around there, around the visor area. And I will be following that up with the little patina rust kit in a minute. And I'm not dabbing it away with paper towel here. I'm just going over my hand and just very crudely marking it out and just wiping away the excess. And you can see right there, it comes up a treat. Now it's time to glue in these pipes at the front tusk gaskets, and I was just using Loctite for this. You do have to leave it for about half an hour because these plastics do have sort of a problem bonding together, but if left alone for about half an hour or an hour, they'll be secured in place without any dramas of them coming loose. Now it's time to get those little copper add-ons for plumbing, and I did spray them with some matte black and then remove some of the excess with some 120 grit sandpaper just to make them look a bit rugged and roughed up. And yes, I am wearing my Captain Boomerang jacket because it was severely cold that morning. I'm just drilling the holes after marking them out to where I want to put these hinges in place, and I'm just pop riveting them in. Now, it's time for that lovely patina kit. We've got a primer, we've got a copper paint, and the rust spray. So obviously, I'm just putting the primer down in areas where I want there to be a rust effect, followed up by the copper coat. Now, the copper coat is really the exact same as the primer in terms of color. Now, I tried to get, as best as possible, footage of me spraying on the final rust spray, and it's the next shot coming up, and the camera did not pick it up at all. It's that much of a fine mist. I'll tell you now, I'm spraying it. You can see like moisture marks on the black visor there. I left this in the sun for about an hour, and then the patina process begins, and then I started to sand away the excess right here, so it kind of blends in. It's not too harsh looking against the white part of the helmet, otherwise it looks too unnatural. So you kind of want to blend the rust effect back into the helmet, and that really came up a treat once it was all complete. So this is a stage where you really want to take your time with it, not be too aggressive, but just be gentle and very strategic about how you want it to look. And this was a last minute decision. I printed off the Empire logo, cut it out, and I'm very crudely going to stencil it on with some Rust-Oleum red that I sprayed into some spare Tupperware lids. Very crudely dabbing it on, almost as if like blood, or just, you know, this rogue Stormtroopers just crudely applied this Empire logo. Now, it's a bit too full on for my liking, so we're just going to go back over it with some 120 grit sandpaper and blend it back into the surface of the helmet, much like the rust effect. Alright geeks, now that the helmet is done and dusted, it's time to move on to the base. Now I told you it's going to be something very barbaric, and it is. So the idea that I had in my head, the concept of how we're going to display this helmet, is a spear that's going to be protruding through that little blowout area on the top of the helmet. So what I've got here is just some pine dowling I got from Bunnings. I've already started attacking it with the angle grinder, as you can see there, to make it look like a spearhead. I still have to go through the rest of the body of the dowling just to make it a bit more crude. I'm going to go at it with some leather wraps around here. I've got a feather that I got from Spotlight, which is our craft store, like an ostrich feather, to kind of hang where the wrapping is going to go. We're going to attach it to one of these standard bases that I use from Bunnings Warehouse for a lot of my custom collectibles. Then after it has been mounted, we're going to use some Trowel, which I use a lot for my bases. It's a thickened up resin, so I want to thicken up areas and then apply PVA glue and sand to make it look like this stick has been buried in the sand and the helmet has been crudely splayed on top of it. Now, I'm going to have this area protruding through the top of the helmet, so I'm going to have some pegs around here so the helmet can rest on that with ease and make it look a lot more natural. I'm going to be painting the tip here with a Model Masters Chrome, weathering it, much same for the body. It's probably just going to be some brown shoe polish and some black washes. Then after that, we're going to call it a day, guys. I'm really excited about this. Very out there. So with that being said, we're on the home stretch. Let's get to it. That's right geeks, we're on the home stretch, so I'm just drilling in the appropriate holes for where I want the screw to go in place, just getting that so it's nice and flush, as you can see right there. And we're going to screw it into the base first, and then I bore a hole into the actual spearhead itself, or the body of the spearhead for that matter, and then drill it in place so the two become one, which is pretty straightforward guys. Now these are the hooks that I use, 19mm square hooks, but I did screw them in so they were then on the side as opposed to sticking up or sticking down. I just figured it's easier and a lot more practical if they're facing on the side. Now we're just going to get some brown shoe polish once again, and this is going to be our stainer for the actual stem of the spear, and I did honestly think I'd have to use a black wash or black shoe polish for that matter after this coat, but it's soaked into the pine so well I didn't have to use anything else. Now it's time to mix up our Trowel 60, Part A, Part B, 100 to 100 mix ratio. You guys have seen me use this before in previous custom collectibles and molding videos. This stuff works a treat. Now, it's one of those things where the longer you leave it, the more tenacious, the more thicker it becomes. So it was one of those things where you mix up a batch. I believe this was 140 each, so 280 grams total of Trowel 60. I didn't add any tints or anything to it because it dries sort of a sandy color, which is exactly what I wanted. Usually when I use this stuff for backing up, say, belt pieces, I will tint it black or gray for that matter. But in this case I didn't. I wanted to leave it that color so it would blend in with the sand perfectly that we're going to be applying in a couple of steps time. So like I said, I kind of got sidetracked there for a minute. If you guys are wondering what that tape is there for, the green tape, that's for the markings of where the leather wrap is going to go. So you really have to thoroughly mix this stuff guys. I can't stress that enough. Now I'm just laying down my base layer and also making sure I get around the joint there, because that resin is really going to help those two pieces fuse together. Now I did lay the base layer down and I did leave the the remaining Trowel on for a while, and then applied more, and as you can see there, it just gets thicker and thicker and you can build up a nice surface right there. Now this is just some spare leather that I had lying around. I cut a strip of it out, Loctited the first piece in place, and then very tightly started wrapping it around, just like a hand wrap, guys, and then kind of doubled back on itself. And then once that stage was complete, I then Loctited the other end piece back on itself. And we're just going to be using some Model Masters Chrome Silver for the actual spearhead. Now don't worry, we're not going to be leaving it that clean. We're just going to be going back in with some brown shoe polish, which I will show you in a sec. Now this is black and brown shoe polish mixed in together with no watering down or anything, and just going back over that leather wrap and wiping away the excess because it was a little bit too clean for my liking. And there we go again, just some brown shoe polish and dabbing away the excess just so it looks a bit soiled, and you know, all those nicks, nooks and crannies have got some dirt inside of them. Now these are the feathers that I got from Spotlight. I just got 3 of them, taped them together, and I'm just using some spare leather string that I had lying around from my Pirate Batman cowl, just very tightly wrapping that around. And then obviously the exact same method as the hand wrap, the grip wrap, sorry for that matter, just Loctited them in place. Now you guys know this method all too well. We're just going to get some PVA glue once that trowel on has dried. Took about an hour for the trowel on to dry, and apply that all over the surface, and we've got some lovely driveway dirt, guys, fresh from the driveway, cooking out in the sun. And I left that for about half an hour in the sun, and then we get rid of the excess, and look at that, just like kindergarten. Now I then did go back in with some brown and black shoe polish to really soak in and unify the whole base itself. I then got some flat black Rust-Oleum spray paint and sprayed around the trim just to give it that charred kind of, you know, barrenest wasteland look. And that was it, guys. We are now ready for the final reveal.
So thanks very much for watching, guys. As always, this piece is available for sale on my Etsy store. I'm very happy with the end result. Just wanted something a little bit different, a little bit striking, and of course a little bit more barbaric. Now, whilst I was working on this piece, I hit 200,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. I just want to thank each and every one of you for your amazing support. Like I always said, I never expected Cosplay Chris to get this big. I'm having an absolute ball doing this, and you guys are absolutely fantastic. Guys, once again, thank you so much for your overwhelming support. It means the world to me. Wherever you are in the world, hope you're having a fantastic week. Be happy, be merry, be silly, and until next time, geeks, please always remember, cosplayers do it best.